to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to look at the chart for Robert Downey Jr. If you look using sidereal zodiac, Vedic astrology, and so if you look to the eastern horizon when he was born, you would see the constellation associated with Cancer, and it was rising at 20 degrees. So any planet like Mars, like Rahu and Ketu, like Sun and Venus and Saturn, all of these planets are close to that rising sign degree and they have a lot of impact in the chart. We call them close to the most effective point. 20 degrees is the most effective point of every house. So first thing we do is we want to look and see how the planets are operating, and then we'll look at when they're operating in his life, because not everything happens all at once, and then we'll look at what we could do to remedy the chart. So we look to see where the multicona signs are. So many planets rule 2 signs, but only one of them is a multicona sign. So the multicona signs for every chart are 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 11. And so wherever these numbers of the signs fall in those houses are what that person's working on in this life. So every one of these 12 houses has to do with an aspect of our life and what we need to learn about. So in Robert Downey Jr.'s chart, he is looking at first of all, Mars is in the career house, ruling Aries. It's ruled by Mars. Aries is ruled by Mars, and it's sitting in the career house. So learning about focusing in and honing on his career, and then fourth sign of Cancer in that first house. So he's learning about fame and he's learning about his life purpose, what he came here to do. And then the fifth sign is Leo in the second house. So learning about wealth and fame and how to gain stability in your marriage. And then the sixth sign is Virgo in the third house, learning about how to find success in his career through performing arts. And then the seventh sign is Libra, learning about happiness and home life. And then the ninth sign is Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. So he's learning about health and healing and conflicts in his life. Then inner conflicts, it could be inner demons. And then you see the 11th sign of Aquarius, ruled by Saturn, sitting here in its own house. So this is the house of learning how to research playing different roles in his acting career. So now we're going to look at how the planets are operating individually. So you have Sun ruling this house of wealth and fame and stability in marriage, placed in this ninth house. So Sun gives wealth and fame through leading acting roles. And then Moon is debilitated, so it's a little bit weak. And so it is ruling the house of life purpose, and it's placed in the career house. So life purpose has something connected to do with performing in front of the public. And he did get good. Now, Sun is also father, so his dad was a filmmaker, so that gave him good support. And his mom was an actress, so that also gave him support. He actually started acting at 5 years old. Then we have Mars, so career through passion. Mars is passion. It's placed in this wealth and fame place, house. So it gives the career connected to being a passionate actor, maybe action films as well. Then we have Mercury, it's debilitated, and it is also ruling this house of success through, this is the house of business and performing arts also. So career, communication abilities, good fortune, and there can be a little bit of in his life living outside social norms. Um, Now, Mercury is also has to do with intellect, and um, it is a little bit weak in this chart because it's more than 25 degrees. So it's said to be an old age, and so elderly people cannot promote or um, their own significations or protect their own significations. Jupiter is weak in degrees, less than 5 degrees, so it's in infant state. It can't promote or protect its own significations, which are following the norms of society, the laws of the land. And it's placed in the house of income, ruling the house of conflict, legal issues, divorce, placed in that house of income and social connections. And then Venus is close to the most effective point, aspected by Sun, and also aspected by K2. So K2 is afflicting Sun and Venus, and so they're making them a little bit weak. So Venus gives his good looks, and it also represents wife, whereas Jupiter represents children, and so Venus is also performing arts. So good looks adds to his happiness through his career and his home life. Saturn is ruling this house of research. So in this case, it's research into um, the roles that he plays, and also can also destabilize, have these transformations and death-like experiences in his life. So he's been to prison several times, and has these a bipolar situation because Moon is weak, slightly more than 25 degrees, and its dispositor Mars is also weak because it's placed in a house ruled by Sun, and it can't be any stronger than Sun. And we said that Sun is weak because it's afflicted by K2. So you see there's a kind of a chain reaction. Many planets and their landlords affect many other planets. Um, so, and then this can also affect your marriage as well. So Rahu and Ketu are very close to the most effective points. So that means that they are afflicting 6 out of his 12 houses. So definitely they're afflicting relationships, more than one marriage, and the mind. So this is the body and the mind. So that's maybe the bipolar aspect here, having that Saturn afflict the mind, creating some fear, some disappointment, some depression. So those are the main things. Now let's about the planets. Let's look at the timing of events. His first role was in 1990 during a Rahu period. So Rahu giving this desire to have, be successful in good social connections and income. Then Sun, I mean, being a child actor at 5 years old and already getting an income is pretty rare. Then we have, he had a son in 1993 during a Rahu Jupiter period. Jupiter is children. He got separated, was in prison, assaulted somebody in prison during 1996. That was during a Rahu Saturn period. Again, these life-changing, death-like experiences, imprisonment, separation. Then in 2001, he got divorced during a Rahu Venus period. So Rahu was unexpected events with your wife. Venus represents wife. And then in 2012 to 14, he had a daughter and a son, again during a Jupiter children representing children period. Now, in 7721, more recently, his dad died. So if we look at this chart, the inner circle is where the planets were when he was born, and the outer circle, and it's just a circular version of this chart, and the outer circle is where the planets were on a specific day, the transiting planets. So you see Sun representing Father was transiting the house of endings, end of life. And also, you can see that Saturn, his third aspect is um, one, two, three. It's aspecting Sun, which is Father, and Venus also. So, uh, so, so creating this death-like experience for his father. So those are the main things in the chart, the timing of events. And so if we look at what could we do to strengthen the chart? So we want to transform the malefics. We don't want to strengthen them. The malefics are always found, the Multicona sign in the 6th, 8th, or the 12th house becomes functional malefic for the chart. So a lot of people consider Mars always to be malefic, but it's not in this chart. It's not ruling the 6th, 8th, or the 12th. But what is Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter is usually considered benefic, but in this chart it's malefic. So for Jupiter and K2, we want to transform them by helping spiritual organizations and teachers. And for Saturn and Rahu, we want to help people who cannot help themselves in charities. And so, with his fame and wealth, he's been able to help people through his charity work or supporting charitable organizations, which really are remedies for the chart. Now, the rest of the planets we want to strengthen by either the gemstones or wearing a silver locket called Kavash, which is a protective shield containing the Devata yantras for Mars, Moon, Mercury, Sun, and Venus. And so these lockets can be purchased on our website, vastucreations.com, as well as if you're interested in getting a reading, you can go under services in vastucreations.com. If you would like to learn transformational Vedic astrology, you can go to courses under vastucreations.com. In fact, we certify astrologers after you go through the course. Thank you so much for listening. Please ring the bell, sign up for the notifications of the new uh, um, um, videos that come out each week. Thank you again so much for listening.